I was hearing it like 3 times. I was hearing it on here, I was hearing it on Instagram, and I was hearing it on YouTube. So I had to get those 2 off. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday Night Live show. I am your host, John Truncali, with Mr. Tim over there, and the lovely Michelle is back with us. I know Phillip, he's being a good schoolboy taking a test today. So he's doing test stuff.
Hope he's not pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. Tim went there. It wasn't me. Please pee on this stick and let us know. And like, I don't know, how long does it take, Michelle?
What?
Like an hour, 10 minutes?
10 minutes usually, but they have some that are 5, I believe now.
It's 10 minutes.
Then he'll find out pretty quick, won't he?
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. He'd be the first. He would be the first, man.
You probably have some people that would argue on that.
He'd be a superstar. He'd be a superstar on this show. Yeah, we're back. It's Wednesday, the middle of the week. Hopefully everyone's having a great week so far. 2 more days to go. Actually, today is my Friday, so yay for Johnny. Yay. And then I'm off for a couple days. But yeah, there's not a lot going on, and I like that. And I'm also, like I said last week, it kind of worries me because it's just I'm that kind of guy. I'm like, it wouldn't be the first time that we got screwed backdoor, but there's always a possibility of something happening, something going on that us common folk don't get to know about.
People who need to know, you know.
Yeah, except for Tim. Tim knows everything. I don't know how he does it. You know, he just he's got inside guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a lobbyist, Michelle. We don't know about it.
I got a lot of what they call sources.
He's got
people.
he's got big tobacco money coming in. So we all do, really.
I mean, if it was just for money and I didn't have to deal with them, sure, just go ahead and send me money. I would gladly take big tobacco money, but you know, sadly for people who wished I was getting big tobacco money, not you guys, none of you. Sorry. I make my own money working 2 regular, working regular jobs and doing it the old-fashioned way, as they say.
God, doesn't it suck?
What was that? What was that guy's name on the commercial? He's like, it was always a tax thing commercial. He's like, was it H&R Block or something like that? They make their money the old-fashioned way.
Mallory's still waiting for her check too. Mallory's still waiting for her check too. I haven't got one. I mean, I'm waiting
because we all know Mallory is like the biggest, big tobacco money earner on Twitter. We all know that. Well, according to other sources, she is.
Yeah, sources unknown. Yeah.
No, it's called Turk. It's called Turk the Twat.
Yeah,
he thinks he's the biggest money-making big tobacco advocate.
I mean, I applied to be the next Marble, man. I mean, I thought I had the right face for it and all, but I guess they just don't go on a different route. I don't know, man. So I'm still hoping and debating. I went in for an audition. It's like, hey, I smoked for 20 some odd years. I quit vaping, but hey, big tobacco money is big tobacco money. What's that old saying? $20 is $20, but I won't go into that joke. I won't go into that joke. Oh man,
Terry, who's Terry?
Timmy.
He just called me Terry. I feel offended.
No. I said Timmy.
Oh, did you say Timmy?
Yeah, I said Timmy. Yeah,
all right. I forgive you.
You're at that age where you need to start having those ears checked once a year.
Well,
believe me, I'm a big proponent of having your ears checked every year.
Well, I figure I'll just stay consistent, John. At 56 now, my eyesight is probably 25% blurry and not as acute. So I'm just going to keep the hearing in balance with that. So I figure I'm going to start losing. I'm not losing my sight. I'm just saying it's harder to read fine print. I just figure it'll be harder to pick up certain tones and things being
the amount of concerts that you and I have attended in our lives. I'm surprised.
Thank you, Janine.
Fucking bad.
Janine Tight Dress Timmons.
Tight dress, tight.
Yeah, Janine Tight Dress Timmons. Yes, I heard the same thing. So we're in the same team on this one.
No, no way.
He can say whatever he wants, but that's I heard that.
I know. I said Timmy. I said Timmy.
Okay. Well, it sounded like an R. So anyway, I'm not complaining. I don't care. My little brother growing up, before he could actually speak normal. He used to call me when he was just a kid, just like he was learning to talk.
Just like that big,
2, 3, 4 years or whatever. He called me Penny. That was his name. Oh. He called me Penny. That's because that's what he heard. And then he couldn't say the word Jello. He said Lello, Lello, Lello. Yeah. He liked Lello, and he called me Penny.
And then he punched you.
Right. That's right, Mallory. We'll go up to the replay box and we'll play that one.
I will check the replay. I'm gonna check the time right now. So it was probably right around 5, right at 5 minutes and a half. So I'll check it. Okay. I'll check it. If I'm wrong, I will post the clip. How's that on Twitter?
Yeah, John. Right. And issue a formal apology.
Yeah, I will. Someday we'll just do bloopers. I'll just post bloopers from this show.
And if you do have to issue an apology, I want you to do it in the format of Tiger Woods after his incident.
No, I was going to do I can't remember the artist's name, but it wasn't me. That's what I'm going to do. That song right there will be playing. It wasn't me. Tim. Other than the big tobacco money you're getting for the week, what have you been doing this week, Tim?
Well, my, what a wonderful weekend it was. What a full weekend it was. I took all of my big tobacco money and I headed off to a little town in Tennessee called Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is about 3.5 hours from me, close to another little town called Pigeon Forge. So if everybody's not familiar where Gatlinburg is, if you know where Pigeon Forge is,
big battle there.
They're like pretty close to each other. It's on the other side of it's in the Smoky Mountains and we looked it up. We were like, why do they call it the Smoky Mountains? Right? You want to know why no, it's not because a legitimate Smokey the Bear lives there. Only you can prevent forest fire.
Only you can.
Smokey is not there. Okay. There are bear in the mountains, but it was because of the elevation, the fog when it rolls over the hills. It gives off the impression that there's smoke, on the mountains. So they call it.
Well, it was actual smoke. It was all the moonshiners making their
That's
stills.
True. Yeah.
Their stills.
All those illegal stills off in the woods. Burning off that corn mash, trying to make their moonshine. So we went there specifically for a festival. It was called it used to be called Monsters on the Mountain. A lot of people still kind of affectionately refer back to it as that, but now it's called Mountain Fest USA. It has a very American name now. So but it was all the bands from John's all of our era, really. Michelle, all of our era. So like for me, like the kind of 80s 90s era, so a bunch of bands maybe most of you have never heard of, but they did have some old school ones. They had like Foghat played. I know you went and saw Foghat one time, John. You took your kids to go see
I love Foghat.
Took the grandkids to go see Foghat. And bands like Night Ranger, Tesla, like who else were some
Tesla, one of my favorite all-time acoustic albums from Tesla.
38 Special played that.
Baby.
38 Special. Yeah, they were some of the top performers. But personally, Tesla, I've seen them about 100,000 million times, it feels like. So I mean, while I like the band, I'm like, okay, it's Tesla. But I had never seen 38 Special. They were fantastic. I mean, they just nailed it. Consummate performers.
Wasn't
Night
it great
Ranger.
to hear those songs though from them that you would remember? Because that's the first time seeing them, and just and remembering those songs on the radio was just fucking
Absolutely.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
to be quite honest, I mean, unless you're big fans of those bands, I mean, I kid you not. 38 Special, I think they played for a little bit over an hour because they had so many bands. They only really got about an hour and maybe a little bit longer. Some of them more the bigger headliners. Every song 38 Special plays in an hour plus set is literally like, one, a soundtrack to your youth.
Yeah.
And two, every song is something you've heard and is a hit. Whether it was in a movie or it was just on the radio. Right. Yes, there's all the the big songs that everybody can remember. But I mean, like some of them actually had kind of slipped my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about that song. Yeah, I remember, singing all the words and all that good stuff. So it was a full 3 days of bands. Luckily, it wasn't it didn't start at like 9, 10 in the morning. Like last 2 days, it was around 12 o'clock. The first day we got there was kind of in the evening time. But it was, you're on your feet all day. And truth be told, my osteoarthritis set in on day 3, and pretty much kind of started taking me down pretty quick. I had to sit a lot more than stand. And it was in a convention center. So, the main hall had 2 stages side by side. And then, so they would alternate bands back and forth depending. And then they had another little stage upstairs called the Summit Stage, which was kind of like a theater kind of environment. And then they had another little stage called the Terrace Stage, which was indoors in this small like conference room. But they had the doors open so you could go out on the terrace, and so you could be inside or outside depending on what you wanted to do.
Nice.
So it was a good time. And then I'll finish it off with had bear encounters. Bear encounters. Can any of you guys top bear encounters over the? Well, I don't know. Maybe somebody had like.
Did you make yourself big? Did you make yourself big?
Read up on what to do, John, on what happens when you encounter a bear in the city. So
in the city,
well, in the town, let's call it a town, Gatlinburg. But it's Gatlinburg is chock full. It's like one kind of primary main strip that is nothing but endless shops and whiskey places and moonshine places and cider places and bakeries and gift shops and t-shirt this and gifts. I got a 2-foot effing dragon statue while I was there. Anything you could possibly want, you can find in Gatlinburg on that main strip. A lot of arcades, really good New York style pizza. Just it goes on forever. So anyway, if you read up on Gatlinburg, you would find out that bear are pretty common in the Smoky Mountains, and it's also a fairly common experience to sometimes see bears downtown inside the town area. They literally will come down from the hills and go into the town areas. Obviously, for one thing only, it's not to eat humans. That's not their main goal. It's the trash, the food and the trash, and just the sheer volume of people.
Picnic baskets, Timmy.
It's a smorgasbord, a picnic basket. It's a virtual smorgasbord for bears.
Hey, boo boo.
So for fact-finding people, they report that there's about 1,900 black bear in the Smoky Mountain area of Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, and this year that equates to about 2 per square mile. So, but they've had a much higher and unusual number of sightings this year. So, quite literally, everybody who was there for the festival, I kid you not, had at least one bear encounter, at least one per person. And so we had our first. So after the show on Friday night or Saturday night, we decided to go down into the town and kind of walk around and just see some stuff. But I got hungry, so I'm like, let's stop and get a piece of pizza. So we got a piece of pizza, left that arcade, started walking down the strip. Everything was pretty much closed. And so we got kind of, a few blocks away, and I'm like, okay, well, everything's shut down. Let's turn around. So as we started to turn around and come back, this woman goes, "There's a bear over there." And we were like, "Really? There's a bear over there?" She's like, "Yeah, there was 2 of them." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" So we walked back up to the gift shop area where she pointed that the bear was, and sure as shit, there was a black bear, kind of like maybe 75 to 80 yards away from us, and just kind of milling through this little gift shop area. And so, of course, everybody's out with the phones, taking pictures and taking video. And then he kind of came around this corner, and Elena was filming the bear. And he was coming towards us. And so it's illegal in Gatlinburg to be less than 150 feet away from a bear. So they try to deter people from getting too close because they don't want incidents.
Hell yeah.
They don't want the bears getting too used to it. They obviously don't want people feeding the bears, because if you do that, people, even though you think Mr. Berry Bear is this cute little fuzzy little stuffed animal, and you get them accustomed to humans and feeding them, then unfortunately, sometimes they get euthanized because they become a risk. They can't relocate them. They can't remove them, because if they do, they take them back to where they came from, and then they just come back to town. So at any rate, so he was coming towards us. Elena's
the bears know that law.
Elena, yeah. Do the bears know that law? No, you know what? I think the bears are ignorant to the law, and it's a bear. Like, I mean, unless he comes into an encounter with. It's kind of like the predator prey mindset. I think they kind of know on the food chain about where they lay compared to where
measure out.
you are effectively one of you could quickly become one of the 4 food groups, and I think they know that much. But the bear was coming closer to us, so Elena was filming and kind of backing off, continuing to back off and film. And he just kept coming, and we were like, okay, we're out. So we dipped, right? We took off. But then there was this pack of 6 people standing next to us who just kind of thought they would test their mettle. And they were like, oh, and they started to walk kind of towards him. And that's when like 3 cops pulled up from out of freaking nowhere. I don't know where the hell they came from. And they were like blaring their sirens and screaming at him, like, get away. And then I don't know what happened. We just kept walking. And so we had a second one again on Sunday night, which was a little bit more harrowing. I'll save that story for next week. I'll save that. Right. I'll give you my second bear story next week. But anyway, it was a full weekend. We had a wonderful time. I recommend going to Gatlinburg. There's plenty to do. You could easily stay there for 2 or 3 days and not run out of shit to do.
An infomercial for this town.
Well, that's why I'm here to tell everybody that I'm taking over the show. It's now become the Zamplebox travel show.
With Tim Swift.
Anyway, that was my weekend.
By chance, Tim, did you go to the German town next to it?
No, since our agenda was pretty much focused on the festival, because that took up the majority of our time. It really didn't allow us a ton of, because like even if you wake up at 8, you go down and have breakfast, come back up, get changed, showered, and everything. By then it's festival time. So we're gonna go back and do all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Then make sure and take a day or a half a day or something and go to the German town. I can't remember the name of it, but it's right there, and it is full of German things. It is so cool. I really love that one too.
Well, I will have to go and get either a knockwurst or a bratwurst. I don't know, whichever one I find first.
Yeah,
you'll have all kinds. But I mean, there's German food galore. They make candles from home.
Yeah,
and they show you how they dip the string and hang them, and the whole bit. They have just all kinds of cool things over there. So.
Definitely, we'll take in those sites.
Sounds like a couple's town.
It's definitely a great couple's town. Like basically, there's, like I said, there's a little bit for everybody, and there's plenty for both.
Well, see, Jeffrey says the Travel and Bear Show. Jeffrey, he's looking for a videographer. You can be his videographer.
I'm in the process. I'm in the process of talking to Wildlife and Game up in Gatlinburg, and I'm trying to acquire a couple bear. And I'm gonna get them, and I'm gonna teach them to dance with top hats and the whole nine.
Top hats,
and then they'll just be behind me the whole show, doing a little bear dance.
Make a tap dance.
Tap dance. Yeah. Michelle, I know it's hard going after Tim, but how's your week going?
Thank you, John.
I know. I should always just have Tim go last. He lives this extravagant lifestyle. We just can't compete.
No, apparently not. Because all I got is I watched another condo unit across from mine, and the AC broke. So I was over there every night for 5 nights, and no heat, no air, no nothing. And I think they finally got it fixed. But in the meantime, took some pictures of the guys that came by because they all vape. And
nice. See, there you go. It ended up being a plus.
Yeah, one of them does end up using Zen, I believe is what his preferred brand was. But he used to be a vapor, and it's just easier for him to in and out of people's homes and that kind of thing. So he uses Zen. And the rest of the last few days have kind of sucked. So I won't even go there.
Skip that place.
Yeah, just skip it.
Janine, I don't want to anger a lot of Germans, but the food is pretty bad.
What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? Do you have brain damage?
Everything is boiled and it's either made with sausage or potatoes. So
it's okay for me.
Well, that's true, but yeah.
Go ahead. I was gonna say Russian food, hands down, the absolute worst.
Russian vodka. I'll take Russian vodka.
That's not food, John. That's
what do you mean it's not? It's in the food chain.
The reason why Russians are so synonymous with cheap vodka like Stoli and that kind of stuff, not the good shit, not the Grey Goose and all that fancy shit you kids like to drink, is because when they lived in communist when they were in the under communist rule, obviously they had very cheap food and it was very stale and very boring, so they learned to be dynamic and make all these different kinds of foods out of the same shitty smelly smelt fish that they eat. It's in salads, it's in everything. And because they needed to tolerate the repetition of it, they would drink vodka shots in between, while they were eating, and so that's kind of just when you're that fucked up, you'll eat anything.
Yeah.
I would think smoking would have helped them.
Yeah, they smoked a lot too there. So smoking and the vodka killed whatever they eat.
Exactly. You're drinking enough vodka, you can eat bear. I'm telling you.
Let's just say that German food needs to learn what spices are. How's that? That's an honest opinion on German food. If they would just learn to use some of the other spices that are out there and around the world, and it would probably be a little better. Now, again, my only experience with German food is at all the Oktoberfest I've ever been to. Yeah. So that's my only experience with German food, and Oktoberfest, German food, and beer.
Janine didn't want to get caught on camera with that delicacy, did you?
Yeah. My weekend. Oh, wait, Michelle, are you done?
Oh, I was just going to say, I grew up with a German girl, and she was in New Orleans, and her mom had been there for several years, and she had learned how to use the spices. And oh my God, this woman cook. Yeah. She cooked German all the time, but she used spices, and it was good. It was real good.
That's the trick to making food taste good. It's just learning the spices. Everything doesn't.
How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. My week so far has been good. Tonight's my Friday, so I'll go in tonight from 9 to 5 in the morning, and then I'm off. Just working. I'm trying to get back on track. I used to be that guy that would every Sunday I would put this list together, and I would just kind of things I need to do, and I would try to check off. There'd be 10 or 15 things on there, but at least try to get 3 or 4 of those things done. So I'm going to try to go back to that and get a little more organized and use the whiteboard in the kitchen. Used to be that board. I would write. I had that special pen, and I would write it, but that pen disappeared. Right. So someone thought it would be a good idea to use an actual Sharpie to write on the whiteboard. So that doesn't come off anymore. So it started out with one phone number. Now it's just the whole board. I'm looking at it right now. It's 15 phone numbers that are permanently there forever. So they're not coming off. So now I have to get another whiteboard that I could put in the kitchen. I could stare at and just say, hey, John, go do this. John, get this done. John, get that done.
There's blackboard paint.
Yeah.
You can paint it and save it.
Someone last night told me, John, you have the most powerful thing in the world in your hand. And I go, yeah, I've tried that, but it's not the same because you can just kind of put the phone down and away. You don't have to look at that list. But when the list is up and it's visible to you throughout the day, and no matter what you're doing, you're going to walk past it and see it every time. Yeah. So I need to get back to that. I feel like I've gotten to that point. Like I have certain days that I clean house, and I work Saturday at midnight, and then Sunday at midnight, and then I don't go back to work till Tuesday, right? So that day, that's house cleaning day. Well, I got up and I was just looked around and I was like, I don't feel it. I don't feel it. I just kind of just looked at the mop, looked at all the cleaning stuff, and it was funny because I'm at that point where I just was missing one thing, Michelle, to clean the house, and it was bleach. It was a bleach spray, Clorox bleach spray.
Right.
I was out of it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't have this. So you know what? I'm just gonna blow off the whole house cleaning thing.
You know, you can always make your own. You don't have to
I know I could. Quiet.
I'm trying to help.
All right, Michelle, I agree with you, but here's the problem. Clorox bottles don't open. Those spray bottles. Once you open them, they don't work anymore.
Make the gallon type.
Oh, I don't want to do that. Then I got to buy a spray bottle. I got to do all that. That's work. That's work. Oh man, that's how I've gotten. That's where I've gotten in my life. I'm 56, and if I'm just missing one thing, I was just like, you know what? Nah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I did that with a couple of weeks ago with the starter in my car. What's that? Tim's playing music for my stuff.
No, it's Hilton. Hilton tried to call me. I don't need to speak to Hilton Hotels, and now Xfinity is calling me. But I wonder if it's related. I don't have Xfinity service, but they keep sending me. I keep getting these hacker emails saying that I owe them $190.
Oh yeah,
I'm getting ready to
yeah.
lose my service. So
yeah.
I don't know if that's just an unusual circumstance, like coinky dink, as they say. But
yeah. No, I did that a couple of weeks ago with the car starter. You know, the car starter went out, and I said, you know what? I've done a head gasket. Let me go to YouTube and see the video. I watched the video, and I was like, I can do that. You know, I can save myself some money and do it myself. And then I went out in the garage, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have this tool. I don't have that tool. I don't have this tool. So I was like, I go to Cragen's or AutoZone, and I said, give me the cheapest tool set you have. So I buy that tool set. I come home, I'm all pumped up to do this, and I realized I didn't have this other tool that I needed, and it was a torque wrench. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'm just going to pay someone that that has gone to school to do this and just get it over with. And that's what I ended up doing, because it was just like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
Tim.
Yeah.
Why don't you say hello to these beautiful?
I will.
I
shall. People. I haven't done it in a whole freaking week.
Yeah,
yeah. How did you all manage to get
me find feeling ducks? There it is.
Yeah.
Get down. It's Tim Swift.
This is my Gatlinburg bear low voice. Yeah. That's how bears talk in Gatlinburg. Like, yeah. And then they say that too. So listen, I'm just teaching you guys all kinds of little mini facts tonight. Yep. And then the money starts to rain down. The bears show up and they just make it rain. You know, they just
the bears make it rain, dude.
The bears make it rain. Yeah, they come down there like, I want to see some of you human strippers.
Hey,
yeah,
that's Mallory's. Mallory said there was the cocaine bear. That cocaine bear is the bear I think would make it rain. Yeah,
I don't know. That bear could have been on cocaine for all I know. I don't know. He was sniffing. He was sniffing a lot. So I don't know if he was looking for more cocaine or looking for food. He was looking for something. But I don't know. I can tell you what I'm looking for, John.
Yeah.
You want to know what I'm looking for?
Tell me.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wednesday Night Live Show. Yes, I was looking for my voice. I'm glad I didn't come home from the festival all hoarse and sounding like Peter Brady on a bad recording day. When it's time to change, you've got to rearrange. Any of you guys, just go back, look up the old Brady Bunch shows. So let's see who's here in the chat with us tonight on this wonderful Wednesday night. We got Mallory, Big Tobacco Money Gates in the house. Good to see you, Mallory. Yay, Mallory. Good to see you. Always happy to have you here. We got, I just hit my nose, Rifle Man in the house, who doesn't like 3-point words in Scrabble. He just wants to go right for the 4-letter ones. He'll know what I mean because it's a sentence he made later. But I don't want to make people sad. I don't want to get into sad situations. We'll just avoid what he was talking about. We got Janine. Does anybody remember Janine's other nickname? Tight Dress was one of them, but then I think she had one. It was like pasta boiler or bean boiler or something. It was, you were making food or something, Janine. I vaguely remember, but I gave you two monikers. It was something like that. So we'll just stick with Tight Dress so I don't keep throwing out other ones. So we got Janine Tight Dress Timmons in the house. Good to see you, Janine. How are you? Great to see you, dear. We got James, the resident pirate, James R. There were no pirates in Gatlinburg, sad to say. I don't know. Maybe there was like a pirate mini golf or something like that. I just probably missed out on that. But, you know, seems like everywhere you go, you always have like a Jack Sparrow impersonator. There were no Jack Sparrow pirate impersonators in Gatlinburg, but that's okay. Who else we got in here? Who else? We got Tho, straight out of Germany. I know. Did we? Okay, John.
We ruined our German.
Did you? Those from Berlin. Did you offend? Though you weren't offended by John's. You know, just he's uncultured. You know, he's Italian, but he's just uncultured. He doesn't know what he's missing. You know what I'm saying? He's been around spaghetti and what are they? They don't call it sauce, John. Right? You guys gotta call it gravy.
It's sauce. No,
it's sauce. Okay, then why do we have the misinformation out on the internet?
Gravy is what you put on turkey and mashed potatoes.
Okay, so that just lets you know John's an Americanized Italian. No, but I'm saying, where does the misinformation come from? Where people say they call it gravy?
It's the people from the East Coast that call it gravy, and those people need help.
Oh, so the not real Italians? I mean, the ones that were just like born in Jersey, always lived in Jersey, that kind of thing.
If you ask every single one of them, what does their grandmother say in Italian when they want tomato sauce? She says succo, which is sauce in Italian. Succo. You don't say, give me some gravy, man. You know, it's like gravy's brown.
Yes.
Well, it could be white too.
Okay. Well, I just, we got to set the record straight. We don't want people to think that we're the media. We're not trying to push out misinformation.
We're not
just
Fox
unfortunately
News.
Maybe I grew up watching a little too much MTV and they said the gravy on their thing. Anyway, let's get back to the introductions. And we have Jeffrey, I don't own a bear, Zamora in the house. Jeffrey Zamora, but he is a bear in the vaping world, folks. He is a bear, and so we love him for that. And so you're an honorary bear, Jeffrey. But you don't go buy a bear. It's not a good recommendation. Just get a puppy. Puppies are that much safer. Just letting you know, I got 2 of them. If you want 2 puppies, call me. I'll be happy to loan them out for about a month and a half so I can go have a life. Who else we got here? We got Peggy at E6 Source in the house. I don't even need like a moniker for Peggy, because if I added any more to her name, it would just be like way too wordy, I'd be like, so we won't belabor the screen name. We'll just leave it at Peggy at E6 Source, and that's just fine and dandy for us. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. Who else? I'm still looking. I'm scrolling slowly because I don't want to miss anybody. So far, I think I'm batting 1,000 tonight, John. I think I got it.
Steve.
But he must be at the bottom then.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. See, I hadn't gotten there, John. You're like you're already you're looking at the bottom, scrolling up. I'm at the top, scrolling
and
down.
There's 2 names down here at the bottom.
We got Steve, and he already has his moniker. He already knows what it is. I think I've said it a million times. Steve, Emoji King Tottenham in the house. Good to see you, Steve. How are you, sir? Welcome to the show. It's going to be a really big show.
Yeah.
We got Neil Pitts. Neil Pitts is in the house. Hello, Neil Pitts. Hello from everyone. Back to you, sir. Good to see you, Neil, here on the show. Welcome to the show. I think first time I've seen Neil, but you're part of the family now. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck. You have to listen to all of our bullshit. That's how the system works. You know, we don't get paid. We just run our mouths, and it's usually information.
Whoa, we're not getting paid. What? That's the first I knew about it.
Let me dig deep into my big tobacco money pocket.
mean,
nope. Suckers, just a couple crumbs. That's
Michelle bought a house right next to Trump there in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, come on. I mean, that takes money,
I know.
man.
Yeah, she's right next door. She's right next
door.
That
was another Michelle.
Exactly.
Another Michelle. Yeah.
Her actually, she already told me what she named it. So Mar-a-Lago is next door. She calls it Michelle Lago.
Michelle Lago.
Michelle Lago.
Michelle
Lago.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna have to do that now. I've made so much, And
what's that? That one song? Oh God, Johnny, come on, man! It's famous song in Florida.
There are famous songs in Florida.
No, they're like the restaurant chain. The guy that sings those songs. That song.
Oh, you're talking about Jimmy Buffett and
Jimmy Buffett.
Margaritaville.
Yeah, Margaritaville. Yeah, Michelle Margaritaville.
Wasting away again in Margaritaville.
That is
R.I.P. Jimmy. R.I.P.
Always.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, we're glad you're here for the live show. Yeah, the replays are great too. Don't forget that. Yeah, replays are good too.
The replays are just as great. It just means that we're talking in the past.
Yeah. We go everywhere. When it's open topic, it's kind of hard. I mean, everything is available, and we want to know what you guys, what's on your guys' minds out there. Let us know in the chat. We'll be paying attention to that. What do you want to talk about? Yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about, vape related though. I guess we can if you want to open it up, or you can open it up. But
I mean, the way I see it is whatever's going on in your life, even if it's not like directly related to vaping, you can be vaping pretty much while you're doing it, so it might as well be vaping related.
Yeah, that is it.
That's true.
One of the things I have noticed, and I'm kind of happy about it, and it was nice Michelle was talking about it earlier, and I'm running into people that are vaping. I've actually, for the first time in the last couple months, in the beginning I was surprised how many were vaping at work. That was shocking to me. I don't know if I'm not a homebody. Everybody knows that. I do go out a lot, but I never ran into people that were vaping. So going to work, running into a lot, grouped in their early 20s and late and mid 20s that were vaping instead of smoking made me feel really good. A matter of fact, one of the guys at work started vaping, and this is very weird and very random. But he started vaping because of my Instagram page years ago. So he's like, yeah, I ran into your Instagram page. You had this one mod that you had on there, and I saw it, and I went to YouTube and I started researching it, and I quit smoking. So I was like, and he didn't know who it was me. He goes, yeah, it was this guy named Smile King 40. And I looked at him and I go, what? I said, seriously? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah. He had a picture of I forget which mod it was, but it was early. And he goes, yeah, that was the mod. I saw that mod on your Instagram page, and I went and looked for it. And I go, dude, I am Smile King 40. He's like, no, you're not. I go, yes, I am. I go, that's my account. So, but yeah, I'm running into more of it. I'm seeing it everywhere. Before I saw it, but it was that those people doing that quick and then putting it away and kind of trying to hide the fact they were vaping here in Modesto. So, but now it just seems like wherever I go, people have their mods. Unfortunately, where it's disposables, what I'm seeing, which is still fine with me. But that I'm glad that people in this area, I'm saying just in my Modesto area, that are openly vaping now without that feeling of like, someone was going to approach them and give them shit for vaping. This is a very conservative town, so I never assumed anybody was doing that. But to me, it just is here lately. It's just everyone's walking around. I see mods on car seats, and I don't know if anybody from Modesto's listening. Don't leave your fucking mod in your car. It gets 105, 110 here. Inside the car, it's 130, 140. So when I do see them, I just kind of shake my head. I'm like, put it in the glove box. Don't leave it on the seat, or, even in the glove box it's a little cooler, but still not a good idea. I mean, take it with you, put it in your pocket or something. But it's nice to see. I mean, that's one of the things I have gotten to notice here is just it's become a little bit more. Yeah, even at the bar, like I would always be that guy. Every Thursday I go out to dinner with my cousin. We pick a place, and I'm always the one that goes outside to vape. And there's always someone there that's smoking and stuff. But here lately, even then, I mean, I'm stepping outside and I'm vaping, and I see people holding a vape device, and I'm really happy about that. The sad part of it is none of them know about anything about advocacy or what's going on. So that bothers me. That's the one part of me that bothers me. And I had a long conversation with someone the other day because that was the situation. I was out eating. We're standing outside at the outside of the restaurant. I'm vaping, and this guy comes out and hey, what are you vaping? Blah blah. That conversation starts, and I said, do you understand what's going on? And he had no clue, because it's still readily available to him. So he doesn't think, he's not thinking, oh, this is going to be gone tomorrow. He knows that, hey, blah blah blah, vape shop's got it. He doesn't even. And the sad part is, I go, have you noticed that he has to go to the back to get it? Didn't that click at any point in time that it wasn't displayed to you out front with all the other stuff that was sitting there? But he had to literally go to the back and come back with a box with disposables in it.
Well, I mean, I guess it's a bit different when you're talking about states who actually have flavor bans or full bans or online bans. I mean, when you talk about people who are already in the community and rely on that stuff, it changes things, and then the word tends to get out a little bit more. But if you are someone who's newer to vaping, and you are in a state where there's not much impedance, right? You can just go get whatever you want whenever you want. Now, maybe your choices are a little limited now, due to the PMTA, but it doesn't shock me that that people, and you would think with the amount of information that's out there about what's going on, if people are just sort of not social media people, or the news like they're not on the news saying, oh, talking about what's going on nationally. It doesn't shock me that a lot of people are just a little aloof as to how, if it's not your area, you understand that they're trying to close the walls in a little bit.
Yeah.
What I see all the time is there's a lot of THC around, and a lot of kids, not kids, but young adults, old enough to buy it, is getting their hands on it, and they'll walk up and down the street all the time, or you'll be in traffic and you'll smell it, because a lot of people drive around here with their windows down, even though it's so freaking hot. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
Yeah.
And or you walk by somebody in the supermarket and they won't smell like cigarettes, they'll smell like dope, which I don't care, but I see a lot of that. And then I see a lot of young adults with small kids vaping disposables. And I've stopped a lot of them and just said, look, I'm a vape advocacy person. Can you tell me why you got that and not what I've got, and they'll just look at me and say, I don't have time to be refilling. I don't have time to make sure that everything's working. I keep 2 of these with me, and I'm good, for all day, no matter what happens, I've got it. And so I see that all the time. And I'm starting to see a lot more elderly people.
Yeah.
Just out and about vaping. And I've had a few of them stop me, like just going in the grocery store or something, and they'll stop me and ask me, can you, what do you have? Or, whatever. Is that really better for you? And, I always have time for anybody that wants to learn, So I tell them everything that I can. As long as they're sitting there, I'm going to tell them,
That's how I am with the guys that I run into that are out, at the bar or at the restaurant vaping, and they tell me, no, I had no clue that was going. He goes, they know that there was a vape ban, but to them, it's still readily available. So it's like,
Right.
is there really a ban or is there not a ban? So I think that gives the new advocate really a sense of, like, I really don't need to care because obviously no one else cares, because you're still being able to walk into these stores. And that's the sense I get, because it's like, I walk into, I don't go to a lot of vape shops, and there's not that many here. But they're kind of turning into the head shop where it's glass and all that other stuff, and then vapes in the back. But it's still readily available. So, if I am a new vapor and trying to get someone, or someone trying to come into the advocacy world and seeing that, it's like, well, do they really need me to be an advocate for vaping? Because, I can walk into 3 stores and get anything I need. And I was like, well, number one, there's more than this out there. There was more than this out there. There was some really cool devices that were out there that not only helped you quit vaping, but kept your mind on something else other than smoking a cigarette. And it was a process, so for me, I always try to let them understand what's going on. I usually, hey, shoot me your email and I'll send you a few links and you can stay up to date. CASA's the first place I always send people. It's just like, hey, if you really care, and this is a consumer advocacy group, so this is not run by some company that's a distributor or e-liquid manufacturer or hardware manufacturer. These are consumers, and I always send them there first, and it's just good to see people out there that are vaping. Do I want to see more people holding, an actual device that me and Tim and you, Michelle, have been using, since day one, and we're all floating over it. This is very hard not to buy. I mean, this thing right here cost me $20, and it lasts me almost 3 weeks. So I'm like, okay, but I will admit that if I do have the bottle of e-liquid, I don't know, maybe Tim, you're the same way I am, but if I do have the bottle of e-liquid and that device and I'm dripping, I'm going through that bottle pretty quick. Yeah, I do. I have noticed that. It's like, I was like, why is this thing lasting me 3 weeks? Why is it lasting me that long? And when I buy a 30 ml bottle or a 60 ml bottle, it's gone in a week, or maybe even less.
Yeah. I think I have to be inclined to believe that, like, when we get into those higher level devices, like the RTAs, the RDAs, the RDTAs, good gravy, so many acronyms in this world. I feel like it's not really so much the fact that we're just burning through it faster just because they're more DTL type vaping, but I feel like there's a lot more burn off and stuff like that. I feel like, that half the juice we're putting in things. It's not like the disposables where you're dialing back down to like an MTL kind of vape, and then it tends to go a little bit slower just because of, the content in it. But, I noticed that. I was like, God, man, I'm running back to the website all the time, like looking up more bottles, and then, here's another $75, $80 to $100 to buy more stuff just because I'm burning right through it. But I need to get back to that. I need to get back to the DTL stuff. I've been sitting around, but you know what my biggest problem is with these, though, I'll admit, I don't know, maybe somebody shares the same thing, is I went to these because I'm like, oh, these are great. Like, I could take them everywhere. I can shove them in my pocket. It's mobile as hell. But they put the little gauges on it. They tell you like what the the juice level is, which they're never accurate. They're never freaking accurate. When it gets to 0, I still got like another 7 to 10 days on the damn thing, it seems like. But I get so paranoid with them anymore. It's like when it hits 0. I'm like, ooh, I better not take this one out with me, because what if it finally goes dead on me? So I open a brand new one and take a brand new one. So now I got like 6 or 7 of them that are like just flashing zeros all the time. And I'm like, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I need to start knocking those out at home. I'll take the newer ones and put those up on the shelf and just keep vaping these other. I'll take like 4 of the ones that I'm paranoid about and just take them with me. And I'll just, I'll try to get rid of them.
Yeah.
I think that's where the kids are getting them from, Because if you have a parent, I mean, let's face it, we all stole cigarettes at one point or another from our parents. And I mean, kids are still going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And they see that, you know, you're a little paranoid about taking this out. You put it down, you get a couple, then all of a sudden one's missing. Who's going to notice it, really? You know, that's where they're getting it from. I really believe that. I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them are.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a little bit different when you got $150 mod sitting on the coffee table and it disappears. You're like, what the fuck?
What the? Oh, where's that little bastard?
Did anybody see my yee-hee? Where's my yee-hee? I left it right here on the coffee table. Then you hear somebody from upstairs go, what, the L? That one. I don't know. I never saw it.
Are those shoes, Dad? Are those shoes you lose? Did you lose your Yeezys, Dad?
And let's face it, you know, even if you have a friend who says, hey, your parents, you know, they vape and I need one. And, you know, who's not going to say, yeah, I can get my hands on one and give it to your friend, even if you don't, you know. So I think it's pretty easy for kids to get them that way.
Yeah, I know my grandkids have gotten a little more, they're a lot older, they're getting older. So I've realized that I can't leave them laying around because there's always that curiosity. What is this? Why does grandpa keep putting this in his mouth? What does it taste like? What, you know, it's yellow, it's flashy, it's red. Oh, I noticed that it flashes lights when it goes off, you know. Oh, let me check this thing. So I have been very careful about making sure that they're not kind of laying around, because when they're not here, these are everywhere. I mean, there's one on my recliner, there's one in the bathroom, there's two in my bedroom, there's three on the desk here. So, you know, they're everywhere. But when they do come over, I make sure that they're not in eyesight. Like my cell phone, we talked earlier, they see my cell phone, hey, I pick it up and I have a 15-minute recording of them walking around interviewing themselves, like on YouTube. So yeah, they're curious, and it's just something I think all parents should take into consideration at an early age. You know, don't leave them readily available for the kids to experiment and to take, you know, because they are. I mean, think about it. They're flashy. They got lights. They see vapor coming out of your mouth. They're curious. What does it taste like?
Yeah. And they just want to be a grown up. You know, they want to look like a grown up to other kids. You know, they want to look older. That's your intent when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you want to look older so that you could do more things. You know.
Yeah.
So it just all goes with it. You know.
Yep. Try leaving a stack of Oreo cookies on the table and see what happens.
They won't be hanging around for very long.
They won't.
Yeah, I've had those encounters. Like when I go over to my friend's house, they have two young boys, you know, and Sebastian's a little bit more acute. You know, he's older, so he kind of already knows that it's something he's not supposed to mess with. But I'm always very careful. Benny is a little bit younger, so you know, I always try to make sure that, you know, because like before I would go over with mods and bottles and stuff like that, and then I would take stuff out, you know, and kind of leave it on the counter or whatever. But I remember the model now. I had one of those ones that like had cool like LEDs that like, you know, cycled colors and stuff on the outside, and you could just see it in his eyes. He would see me using it on the back porch, and he's so fascinated by it. But you know, you take those moments to, you know, just sort of reiterate that, you know, this isn't a toy.
Yeah.
You know, it just looks fancy, but this is for adults, and this is not, you know, this is nothing you need to touch or anything like that, you know. So they you know, they get some association to it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early in the beginning, a debate that was on the Zamplebox YouTube channel or Zamplebox family page, and I don't know if you were there yet, Tim, or not. But it was all about parents vaping in front of their kids or in the car with their kids.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was 50-50. 50% said, you know, you shouldn't do that. The other are saying, yeah, it's fine because it's not toxic, you know, and they were using that as their excuse. It's not toxic. They're not going to get secondhand cancer from a vapor device. And the other side, it's like, well, we don't care about that. It's the fact that you're teaching them something. They're watching you, and you need to realize as a parent that you are their teacher. for a large portion of their lives. And then they want to emulate you as much as possible because you're, to most kids, you're their Superman, you're the super mom, man. You're invincible. You know, what you're doing is something that they feel like if mom and dad are doing it, it's got to be good, you know? So I remember that. I remember having to close the comments on that post because it got very, very, very nasty on that subject and whether or not you should be, you know, should you vape in the car with the kids? Should you vape in the house with the kids? You know, and that was early, maybe 10 years ago when that, you know, so there was still that everybody was still trying to, maybe even more than that, maybe 12 years ago, I think people were still saying, hey, why can't I walk through Walmart and vape? You know, this is okay. It's not going to hurt you. It's not non-toxic and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I
but
remember those.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. I mean, I think as an individual, you know, I think that there's, you know, it's one thing to, you know, stealth vape, you know, somewhere where you're probably not supposed to or anything like that. Like I do that. So you know, I'm not going to criticize anybody who does the same. I mean, hell, I think I even did it on a plane a handful of times, you know. But, yeah, but I mean, but I was good enough at it that, you know, nobody really knew what was going on. If you're smart, you know how to mask it or disguise it. But I do think that sometimes, you know, out of just general respect for the people around you, even if it is about the fact that you know, your kid wants to emulate you and they see you doing something and they, you know, aspire to try it or do it because you do it or whatever. I do think that there is just a general level of respect that you should show the people around you. And I just think that it's a much better choice not to ignorantly do it in the car in front of the kids. Like, you pick your moment, you know, just if you know, you have to just step out of the car or whatever. And same, you know, with the animals and stuff. Like, I don't jokingly like blow clouds into my dog's face and stuff like that. I mean, I think you have to be respectful to the idea that these are typically recipients who are non-smokers. They're not looking to quit another habit. They're just a consequence of you know, guilt by association around you. So, you know, it doesn't take much effort to show, you know, other.
But, you know, I think it's a slippery slope too, because I mean, I'm sensitive to a lot of smells and things of that nature. And I know that other people are too. And some people just bathe themselves in cologne and sprays and things.
Yeah.
And they walk around and they don't have, you know, they just feel like they have the right to do that to everybody, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing, you know? I mean, it's respect. You gotta respect the people that you're gonna be around, whether or not you know who they are, you know?
Yeah.
And I think
especially if you know you're going to a closed environment, man.
Exactly. Or, you know, church or you know, if you're going someplace where it's like you said, enclosed environment, restaurant, or, you know, you're going to have your teeth cleaned, you know, I mean, whatever. You need to be a little bit more respectful, you know?
Yeah. Hey,
people don't,
hey, Michelle, you remember the 80s, man. Polo and Dakar, guys, we took baths in that stuff.
You did.
Yeah, that Polo bottle and that Dakar Noir. Yeah, we didn't just spray it on us. We bathed it. We just like, yeah, all right, yeah.
And there was something that y'all used to wear. I can't remember what it was now. I can't remember the name of it, but every time I got around somebody like in a mall or something, oh man, my head would just, I mean, I'd fly. I mean, I would just, oh, it was awful, you know? But how do you tell somebody you stink, you know, when they're trying to smell good? So it's kind of the same thing, you know? I mean, if somebody's around you and they don't smoke, they're not going to appreciate, you know, big clouds of stuff in their face.
That cowboy shower. I haven't heard that in a long time. I have not heard that. That was said a lot. I live in like a little country town, and it was that word and another word. I won't say it, but
I bet you I know what it is.
Yeah, I think you know what it is. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was worse too, is because back then you smoked too, so you had that obsession for men or fucking Dakar Noir or Polo smell on top of the cigarette smell.
Right.
Oh no, God, you brought back some really good memories, Michelle. Old Spice, yes. God damn, you steal that Old Spice from your dad, man.
Oh yeah, I think he probably still has a bottle of Brute in the cabinet and some Old Spice up there. And you know what else my dad has? My dad's so old school. Like, he's not like the new school dad where you got like a can of Barbasol on the counter. He had like the old school, like Old Spice kind of thing with like the shaving brush, the brush, and then you lather up the little cake, and then you do that all your face.
It had a special little cup.
That was my first shave, Tim, was that shit. My dad was my first shave, and my dad yelled, "No, you're going against the grain, John. Do you understand how the hair grows on your face?" I'm just like, dude, I really don't care, Dad.
Exactly. I'm an electric razor fool. I just nothing. Just metal against my scruff.
Yeah.
Braun. I'm on the Braun 9 now.
I remember. Well, of course, my grandfather and my uncle were barbers, old school barbers. So I remember my first straight razor shave, and I hey, if you're gonna trust anybody, it's your uncle. But I was still like, oh, this is a straight razor, man. And he just, I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, I cut myself with a Bic razor. How's he not going to cut me with a straight razor? Scary moments.
Can't do straight razor. Nope, irritate.
Do you ever gotten shaved with a straight razor, Tim?
No, I used to get nervous about that shit because we were younger, we used to go to this barber that had a barbershop
Shaky hand.
Yeah, it just looks intimidating me. I'm like, I don't know why I'm gonna go ahead and fully trust some stranger that I don't even know, who I hope is having a good day and not, he doesn't have a divorce or a breakup on his mind. And I'm just kind of coughing up my neck like a dog turning over, showing his belly. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, there's 2 golden rules: never trust a barber with a shaky hand with a straight razor, and a proctologist with big fingers. Yeah, let me see your fingers. Nope. Oh, let me find another doctor. Sorry for the proctology joke there, but I had to go there. Yeah, I mean, what I see. This is the great part, because we're 3 different states with 3 different outlooks on vaping. Yeah. And with me being in California, it's if vaping was a sin, I'm not getting in heaven. Put it that way here in California. Where Tim, they have some rules in place, and everybody's is happy, but there's still a possibility that things could turn around in Georgia. And then we have you, where you got a governor that's got common sense, and not just a governor that has common sense, but people like you and Nick and Peggy that are fighting their asses off to keep vaping alive there and keep people educated on vaping. So there's no stigma out there in Florida that this is the next, cigarette. So it's kind of, we have 3 different, I mean, Tim, you could still basically walk into a vape shop and get something, a bottle.
Yeah, there's no, there haven't been any, gosh, going back to it all, I do remember vaguely, I won't say vaguely, it seemed like it was just yesterday, but I do remember there were a couple counties in Georgia that were facing some local bans, and there were some advocate groups who fought those and basically got those particular pieces of legislation blocked or stopped. But then after that, there was some whispering about a bipartisan bill that was potentially going to be presented to the Georgia House that was an attempt to kind of go after vaping. But it all but kind of fell quiet on that. I don't think it made it made committee by the end of the session, so it never really got much further than that. But I will say, while we haven't had any particular no bans or blocks or impedances of any kind. Like there's vape shops around. You can still go in and get things that you want. And I'm maybe not so much like the older school stuff. I mean, they might have a few mods in there. It seems like most of the places that I've wandered into for out of necessity have been mostly just centered around disposables, or if you're buying coils for a refillable tank or something like that. But I will say that I did see sort of kind of a rash of vape shops kind of go under during the COVID period. It just seemed as though maybe they couldn't sustain because the money wasn't coming in. I don't feel like the PMTAs necessarily had a big part to do with it, but I do think that a registry bill was trying to get passed in Georgia, but it got thwarted as well. So there have been some attempts, some close calls, but for the most part, I mean, again, I correlation, but we've got a Republican governor
again.
Well, Kemp, right? So I mean, he may not be everybody's favorite per se, but I'm just saying that may have something to do. It may not be high up on his list of shit that he cares about as much than some other things. But you just got
Kemp and DeSantis good friends.
And
I think
mean, you would think that if they are paying attention to each other, then it's a good chance that if Kemp did see something come across that he might veto it and push it back down. But there just hasn't been sort of an all on full assault by the Georgia government to try to take it down. So I mean, but this is a point, a good point to bring up the fact that it's all residual, right? I mean, even if you're not a single issue voter necessarily, but you do value vaping, and you do get to see that your governor or whatever might be on the side of that. It's I think it's incumbent upon you to maybe look at that particular issue as something that might cause you to favor that particular candidate, even if that candidate doesn't necessarily fall on your side of the fence 100% of the time.
Right.
I mean, we do have different sides of the aisle, and there are a lot of different belief systems and thoughts about how things should go. But I think if there's some policy that you value in your life, like the continued ability to obtain vaping products in your state, and you see that a particular candidate is more likely to support it, then that may be something that's it could be a deal breaker for you or not a deal breaker for you. So I mean, we do hold the power to be able to put people in seats that have the power to be able to regulate and legislate and stuff like that. So that's always something to look at. And if you're unsure, don't
research.
Research, but don't hesitate to reach out to them and get their stance on it. That it could factor into your vote.
Yeah. Say hello to Microwave Oven, Timmy.
Who am I talking to? Microwave Oven is here, gosh darn it! It's freaking Microwave Oven. Microwave Oven is in the house, folks. My all-time favorite. Actually, I would have to give him a moniker now. There it is, right there. Let's watch it count down. I hope it stops on 2. No, it stops on 0.
And there is your croissant, or whatever that is.
It's not the official name now, the official name is now Microwave. I left you on 2 seconds oven. That's the new. That's the new. But was I supposed to say? Is Mr. Redfern here? I heard you say Michael, or did you say Microwave?
Microwave.
Okay,
I thought you said Michael, so I thought it was Michael.
I thought I heard Michael as well. So
I am going to call AARP. I'm going to call AARP and make sure they send you both hearing test kits. No, I'm kidding. And I will check the replay at 1:05, and I'll check it. Mark it down, John.
You know what though, it's okay because I'm older than both y'all. So
I mean, you are. I thought you were younger than us. We're 56, both of us. Yeah,
I'm 59.
You don't have to disclose. You didn't have to disclose.
No, I'm 59, and you know what? All these grays, I've earned every one of them. So,
Heck yeah. I've earned every one of these gray hairs in my goatee.
I want to file a complaint. I don't know if
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know if I earned them or somebody's just playing a bad joke.
Well, for a long time, I thought it was somebody was playing a bad joke.
Yeah,
And
I think
finally
you
had to
earned
face
them.
reality and realize that, you know what? I've earned them. I've earned every last one of them. I just try and hide as many as possible.
Yeah, I think you earned them because you own 2 of these things. And those will put gray hairs on anybody.
Well, you want to know something about my smallest one, Roxy? It's kind of funny because I was looking back at like pictures when she was much younger, like, you know, maybe like 2 or 3 years old. And I'm looking at the pictures. I'm like, what is so different about her? I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, she doesn't have all the gray hair that she has now at 7 years old. And then so that's changed. Like her paws are like, you know, got like the hair is lightened on her paws, especially around her muzzle. But I think it's so stinking cute. She's got one gray hair like halfway down her tail. That's just it looks like it's like the North Star on her tail. But I look down and I'm like, I keep pointing. I'm like, did you all see the one gray hair on her tail? Like I'm reveling in a gray hair or something like that. But
Rifleman's old. He's older than dirt. That's old, man. That is old. Oh man.
Well, we're not old. We're just
50 is the new 30, man. That's how I look at it.
I think so. I feel like socially, like the tables have turned. I feel like the people from like our particular era, you know, if you look around, you're like, wow, you know, everybody seems to have kind of held on. I mean, everybody's still got that kind of like youthful look at, like, you look at people and you're like, there's no way you're plus 50 plus. There's no.
Well, we only have our parents to gauge. We have our parents to gauge, and that's how I look at it. I try to remember what my dad was in his 50s, you know, and am I healthier, or, you know, did I keep my looks a little better, you know, stuff like that. And I feel like I am healthier than my dad was at 50. I feel like he was, you know, he was probably more active than I was, because he was always gardening. He was always out in the outside doing something, and I'm not that guy. So, but I do have more gray hair than he did, and you know, and a receding line. But I blame my uncle for that. I think I got that from him.
Well, my brother's 4 years younger than me, and I recall looking back. I mean, midway through his 30s, he was almost pretty much gray, and that's in his 30s. So I'm not quite sure where that came from, because maybe it came from my mom, because my mom is gray. But my dad and I are kind of similar. Like, my dad's got a little bit going on now, like on the sideburns, but he doesn't, you know, he's not silver haired on top.
Yeah, so. Some people are just lucky.
When I was 16, I started having gray hairs. I mean, literally, I had a lot. It was more than just 5 or 6.
Well, you were worried about boys. You were worried about boys. I can see that. You know.
No,
he said 16. He says, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You were, well, not like that worried, but, you know, like, I got to choose all these boys. Which one do I choose?
Yeah, well, I just have, you know.
I didn't notice any gray hair on you, Janine. Did Janine have gray hair? I never noticed.
She has beautiful hair. She really does.
I'll take your hair any day.
And she's got beautiful skin. So, hey, she's looking great. She's looking great.
I'll take half of what fucking Tim doesn't want, too. I'll take half of that, too.
And hey, you're all going to have to start saying the 50s and 60s look, you know, is the new 30s.
60 would be we're me. Come on, Johnny, I'm white. I know. I like your hair. I even like your style of hair. I wish I could rock that style. I can't. It won't stay up. It's too thin, and there's not enough up there anymore. Tim's got all the hair. Tim's been blessed with hair.
I'm holding on. I figured I was talking to the cashier last night at the grocery store, and she's like, "You've got really pretty hair," and I'm like, "Well, thank you." I said, "Yeah, I'm holding on." I said, "I figure at this stage in the game, I'll just be the hair farm for all my older friends. You know, I'll just walk around with a pair of scissors and a little ball of wax, and if people are like, 'Yeah, I'm starting to go right up in here,' I'll just be like, 'Hold on one second, take a little bit off and
glue it up.'
Yeah,
glue that shit on there."
See, Rifleman, I know a few people that are like that, and I just don't get it. And I automatically assume they're dyeing their hair, but they're not. And their hair on their head is black as night, but their beards are white, like white. And I'm like, what happened there? Where did the DNA just say, fuck you? We're just going to give you black hair and then just screw you over on your beard. It just not make any sense at all when I see someone with beautiful black hair, brown hair, and a Santa Claus beard. I'm like, what happened? Where did the DNA get twisted up there? I don't know.
Oh well. Let's not worry about it. You know, we don't need to run off the hair club for men or go out and buy Grecian
I
formula.
do plugs.
We'll just age gracefully. We'll age gracefully. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's like,
hey, we're Gen Xers, man. We'll fight the fight. You know,
exactly.
We'll fight the fight.
Yeah, I'm not unless you pull the hair from my dead body.
Yeah, and I'm not Hercules, so yeah, I'm not Hercules. I'm not going to lose my strength if you cut my hair. I mean, exactly. Though I am. As we'll get off of here, but before we do, everyone knows. I think pretty much everybody knows my story. I have gotten my hair cut by two people my entire life. That is it. My grandfather cut my hair until he passed away, and I was 10. Then my uncle cut my hair from my age of 10 till the day he passed away this year. And I have now decided that I am going to have long hair like Tim, and I'm never getting another haircut. So I don't want another person to touch my hair. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going I'm just going to grow it out and just see where it goes. And then hopefully I don't look like a woman. That's all I'm saying. I think the goatee will throw everybody off, but yeah, I'm just going to let it grow. And my son and my daughter-in-law, they're all, your hair's getting long. You need to cut it. I'm like, no. And then they're all giving me their barbers. They're like, my son's like, hey, go to this guy, go to that guy. My other son's, go get a haircut here. This guy. And I have a very good friend whose son owns a shop. It's a salon, but it's, he owns it, and him and his brother cut hair in there, and my boys get haircuts there. So it's called, and it's a Italian themed salon. It's called Goodfellows. So I'm like debating whether or not I want to go in there and get my hair cut from somebody else for the first time. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to grow it out.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I cut my own hair.
Do you really? And yet, no, I don't have hair.
Yes, he does. He has a haircut card. You got to ask him it, like when he gets ready to enter an establishment. We go, we don't care about the COVID card. Your vaccination card. You have a haircut card. They got like all the little stamps out of it, when he gets to like 250, he gets a free.
I get a free sandwich. I get a free sandwich. Oh man, hold on. I will try to find something.
Good night, Janine. Good luck in the kitchen.
Hey, make that sandwich. No,
don't burn anything like I would. I know you won't. Won't.
Don't burn anything. Here you go.
I'm okay. I can cook a little bit.
You go.
I'm more instructions.
Me and my big brother sitting in the chair that I have sat in for over 50 years to get a haircut. And there I am. And there's the Farrah Fawcett poster in the background there. My grandfather.
Look at that. There it is. There it is.
But I have sat in that chair. There's my records right there. There's my proof that I have sat in that. And hold on here. Hold on here, peoples.
Is there one of you screaming and crying while you're getting your haircut?
Never. And I know it's somewhere over here. I will find it, dang it. I will find it. And it was recent. It was not that old of a photo. So I will find it. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Man. I only get a haircut every well, I mean, I cut my bangs, once a month or so, but once a year is when I get a haircut. So when I decide to do it, it's like 6 inches off,
Yeah.
Well, see, that's great news, Microwave, that you were late because of cooking and you were not late because of nuking.
Oh man, where is it? Feel bad that I can't find it now. I feel good. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I don't know where it is.
Well, you'll find it while we're
I'll
looking.
find it. I'll find it. I'll find that.
I got a few articles that I
Hey, throw them out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring down
So,
the show with an article.
well, I mean, I think this one's a little relevant because it's kind of like on the same subject matter that we were kind of talking about, and it's a first person's perspective view of vaping in their particular area. You know, and again, these are exactly the kind of stories why, you know, it's important for, you know, people who, you know, are getting into vaping. People who are already into vaping should already know the routine and how advocacy works, but you got people that have, you know, dumped their whole entire lives into creating locations. And oh, here we go. There it is.
That same man has cut my hair my entire life, man.
Okay, well, he knows exactly how you like it too.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Like, you don't even need to tell him. Just
no, I don't. No,
you don't have to say a little bit off the top.
I have learned with my uncle, I didn't have a choice. I could same haircut. I would tell him, hey, you know, I want this look. He go, no, you don't.
No,
no, Uncle Pete. I want this look. I want this look. Because no, you don't. No,
you don't show up with a Vogue magazine and point to the picture and say, I want that.
You remember? Yeah, you remember the shops where they had the magazines. They even had pictures of guys.
They had like GQ and all that other stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, good way to kind of like help translate for the now. It's personally, and I'll get off the hair topic. What I'm saying is, I have a whole different. I live in a totally different world. I can't go see a barber. Because if I go see a barber, he's gonna take one look at me, and he's not even gonna understand. No, he's for him, everything is over the ear. Do you know what I'm saying? There is no such thing as below the shoulder or anything like that. And so I just know, and that there's just not going to be a copacetic relationship. I have to go to, you know, where the women go to get there. They have to go to the stylist that kind of understands long hair and stuff like that. So I have a challenge with that. Now, if my parents could have it any other way, they would sit me in the barber chair and they would be like, just take it off. Just take it off.
Last one.
You look good.
There I am as an adult sitting in that chair getting my hair cut. There you go.
Well, it's good to know you. It's good to know you haven't outgrown the chair.
There you go. That chair. And you ready for this? I will be eventually. You'll laugh here.
The owner of the barbershop.
I will have that chair here in my house, in my place, and someone gave me a great idea to use it as a chair for the show. So you may soon see me sitting in that barber chair during the show.
And then maybe he'll forget how to use the little step pump on there, and then all we'll be doing is looking at his chest the whole show.
He'll be going
like, John, gotta know how to get back down. The guy that sold you the chair, he knew how to do it. Go back and ask him how to do it. All right. So let's move on to So we're gonna. I mean, we've all still got some hair, and I guess that's the best part, right? So this one, not necessarily a good news article, but it's an important one. I think it's important to share with everybody here.
Kentucky.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, we don't hear too much about it, but this guy, Kentucky vaping industry leader, says demise of business is well underway. Well, first of all, I want to commend that man for
beautiful shop,
a gorgeous shop. Yeah, look what's behind him, though. There's a lot of disposable. Well, there's a lot of bottles too. There's a lot of there's some Jam Monster going on there. Looks like you got the squeeze, like the what is this? That's not squeezed. What is Vape 100 or something like that?
Yeah.
Vape 100 going on there. Got lots of
or something, right?
Lots of bottles. So he's still selling off a lot of the good stuff. And I would have to say, if there's another reason to save this man's business, it's because of that Pepsi machine. Exactly. Anybody who's a Pepsi drinker, I know, don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah,
I'm a Pepsi guy, so
I'm sure there's some Mountain Dew in there too, Timmy.
Well, you keep in mind, I live in a state where Coca-Cola was invented.
Yeah,
so it's almost mind breaking that you go into a restaurant and you say Coke or Pepsi, and they always go Coke. I go, Coke? Fuck, yeah, Coke. All right, whatever.
I guess, damn
exactly. They got the monopoly going on. All right, so it says a prominent leader in the retail vaping industry in Kentucky says businesses statewide are in decline. A new law impacting the vast majority of vape product outlets goes into effect this January. Tony Florence owns 6 vape stores in Kentucky and a manufacturing facility. He said his father died from lung cancer, and his interest in the business has been to provide an avenue to help people quit smoking cigarettes. Florence said open system vaping devices can work to that end. 1000% agree. And this is exactly the kind of person that got into this industry for the right reasons. Personal experience, his own, and then a absolute desire and passion for preventing that outcome that his father had to suffer, to save people from that same outcome and to educate people. And it's a shame that this whole system has caused people like this, while they can still sell their products, it's become more difficult to pass information across the counter and help people, because more people would, I think, be interested in getting into it, if they could go in, especially older people who need a little bit more help. They don't understand the device. They need more assistance in doing that. Maybe they have arthritis and it's too hard for them to screw the coil in and all that other stuff. I mean, it's these types of shop owners that are all the right reasons for people to be doing what they're doing. He says, if it got to the point where 20 years from now I went out of business because there were no more people smoking and no more people vaping, mission accomplished. I'm good with that. But Florence predicts a vast majority of vape shops in Kentucky will be closing in the months ahead. He said HB 11 passed earlier this year, limits legal sales to relatively few products. Florence said disposable vape devices often do have higher nicotine levels, which can foster continued use. So he has the mindset where if he could help somebody to transition to vaping from smoking, one of his objectives would be to hopefully help that person to cessate completely. You know what I mean? Basically saying, I can set you up with something that could get you off of it, and then I can eventually help you to get off of this too. So that's one thing that also gets lost in the minutia of the anti-vape advocates and the people who just don't want to, like legislators who listening to money coming in and these trusted agency people, is they don't seem to understand that the vaping industry isn't about getting people onto vaping, getting them hooked and keeping them there. If you're going to continue to vape, that's a personal choice, but we also understand the risks of that personal choice moving forward, and we can make those decisions based on what we want to do for our own health, from our own health perspective. So it doesn't mean that you have to quit. You're not obligated to quit vaping, but he has that mindset where he's like, look, if you want to continue to vape, but if you're looking to quit, here's something that can help you transition and also help you eventually put the other thing down. Now, I have a friend who did that, and I had a conversation with him this week and ran into him at the festival. He was a smoker for a lot of years, and then he started vaping to get off of smoking. I saw him at a show years ago, and he was like, well, what's that? He was asking a bunch of questions. I got him, into some different devices. He said that accelerated his ability to actually finally quit vaping, because I'd run into him, months later at another show, and I'm like, oh, so where's your vape? He's like, oh, dude, I quit. I got down to 0, and then I quit it. And then I ran into him this weekend, and he was like, hey, man, you got a cigarette? And I was like, I'm like, oh, you're smoking again. He's like, yeah, I fell off the wagon a few months ago. I'm not going to dig into him and get into it. And I'm like, well, look, bro, if you want to get back into the vaping thing, give me a shout. We can talk and stuff like that. So
quick question for you, Tim, because I think that's something I've brought up a few times, is just, it doesn't seem like the shop owner or the industry itself is selling that point. And I think it's important to hear that you can work your way out if you want to get done. You want to get to 0 and then quit vaping. I think that needs to be a selling point a little bit more so today than ever before, because I think a lot of non-vapors or that are out there, anti-vapors, and they think this is the same thing you just said, that we're just trying to get you hooked on a new thing. It's not smoking, it's nicotine. Now we got you hooked on vaping, and now we got you. But I think people need to hear that, and I think that should be a selling point in shops, and I think it should be a selling point even with the product later. So even with things get settled, with the Supreme Court, and we get back to normalcy, somewhat of normalcy, I think that still should be a selling point when it comes to selling this product, and let people understand that you can go from 50 to 25 down to 18, down to 9, down to 6, down to 3, and eventually get your way to 0 and put it away.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately a lot of the falls on deaf ears kind of stuff that the legislators don't even, even with people who, used to be able to get up at some of the sessions and stuff like that. It's like they just can't be bothered with the nuance of it. And that's why they don't, ultimately understand it. They just want to look at it from an executive high level kind of information perspective, and if somebody from, an agency that they are inclined to look at for their advice because they're doctors or scientists and stuff like that, and they just say it's bad. Like the scientist doesn't even go into the element of that either. Like even the scientists kind of ignore that fact. Is like they just they paint it in a picture. Like it doesn't matter which one you touch. Like you could go from smoking 2 packs a day to a 3 milligram juice. And they don't even paint a picture of that relevancy and say, well, if you're going to really make the general argument that it's the nicotine that's the problem, right? It's the addictive component in nicotine that is creating the issue, and why people are vaping and, getting on it, aside all the other bullshit that they like to push with the metals and all that stuff that's in it. If legislators want to focus on the nicotine element, like not one of them ask a question and say, well, are there differences in the nicotine delivery systems that are out there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there different ones? Are they all the same? Like, they never kind of like take it one step further and just ask a question. I'd be curious to hear what the scientists have to say if they got counter question like that. Like, so are they all 50 milligram? I mean, is that normal? Is that enough? I mean, is that too much? Like, how can I make a logical, objective decision on any of this if I don't understand more about it? If I just see it as, oh, it's a rattlesnake in a tank, oh, well, hell yeah, ban it. Who the fuck wants to get bit by a rattlesnake? I mean,
I do.
It just kind of blows my. Hey, you do? Okay, well, hey,
it's just so I can feel it.
To each their own. I don't know. Maybe you can be like that guy on TV, had a TV
that gets
show.
Bit by all those.
By all those effed up bugs and snakes and things that are out. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Float your boat there, buddy. Whatever. I will stay on the non-venomated side of life. How about that?
How about black widows?
Cute from a distance. Hey, look at that black widow over there. You can just staying over there. The ones that scare me are the brown recluse. Those are because they're like, oh, they live in wood piles and shit. And I'm like, do you all have like a wood burning fireplace or a gas fireplace? Wood burning fireplace. Okay, you go get the wood outside. I'm not going out there because there might be a brown recluse.
One time, and a yellow snake was underneath the one that I was picking up.
And you probably jumped about 12 and a half feet.
I just about did. I mean, it was all curled up. Luckily, it was cold, so it was 30 degrees or so out. And it was in the shade. And I was bent over picking up this big one. It was a big one.
Yeah.
I picked it up, put my fingers under it, no gloves, no nothing, picked it up, was going to turn it around, and my head's still down there, my hair's hanging down by it, and I'm staring at this thing. Like, oh man, and I hate snakes. Anyway, that's my story.
That's my snake story.
That's my story. That's my snake story, and I'm sticking to it.
I ran away from it.
Hey, well, I would run too. Like, I'm not gonna be like, hey.
Well, you live in one of those states that's like Australia. There's like a lot of things just walking around that
just
kill you.
fucking kill you. Yeah,
you are right.
more and more stores more and more stores just going out of business. They are not renewing leases. I mean, from a manufacturing distribution standpoint, I'm down 80% since April because stores are they're either not buying new product because they're selling off the old and they're going out of business. So yeah, I mean, this is what, and this is not to cast blame on anybody. I don't think it's anyone's particular fault. I'm just saying, this is why advocacy is important, right? Because the louder we are, the more we are, maybe there's a better shot at, stopping stuff like this. I know it's a tough uphill battle, and we're pretty much feel outnumbered the majority of the time. But yeah, it's just like stuff like this just is frustrating to me because you just see so many people losing. Now, on the flip side of that, black market's going to thrive, right? So there are other alternatives. Florence said some stores may opt to become a hybrid business, selling other items along with a few Federal Drug Administration approved vapes. The veteran vape store owner noted the penalties under the new law are sizable, and so that's likely to cause many doors to close by January 1st. Florence added the Royal College of Physicians in England is similar to public health in the U.S. He said it backs vaping as a method of choice to help people stop smoking. Florence said vaping is far less harmful than combustible cigarettes, and it's that's another element of something that I find is shame is that you've got this entire body of physicians and medical experts like the Royal College, who've come out with extensive evidence and still stand pat on their assessment that vaping is 95% safer than smoking. And much better for people to transition to if they want to quit smoking. So, but it's again another element that falls on deaf ears. WEKU is working hard to be a leading source. Oh, this is just our closer. Sorry. Yeah, that was from NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. So, this is the result of an not fully informed group of people making decisions for others who are far more educated on the subject than they are. And then, and in turn, causing somebody to go out of business, like basically lose their livelihood, and all the money that they invested and the hard work that they put with it. And I hope that, he decides not to stay in Kentucky. I hope that he continues to carry his legacy on elsewhere. Doesn't sound like he's throwing in the towel himself. He just said that, a lot of locations around him are closing their doors. Yeah. So, but that's a residual element of it.
It's a shame because it looks like his store is big enough and would probably has several employees, and they're going to be gone too. It's not just affecting one owner of the store, probably.
Yep.
No, I mean there's investors behind that, and we don't even know what the residual downfall of is that when it kind of goes back up the chain, because there are sometimes it's tough to get a business started, and in certain cases you need investors to come in and kind of help you get things kick-started, with the hope that this business will be around for a long time, and eventually maybe you can shed that partnership. Get them paid off, on whatever the contractual agreements are. But what happens to these people, like when they do have investors involved, and then they got to basically file. I'm guessing there's some way to pay off their debtors. You know what I mean? Like their investors, like filing Chapter 11 or something like that, versus just raw dog closing the front doors and being like, that's it, I got to pack it in, find some other thing. I mean, I'm hoping that there's some way for them to be able to get those sharks off their back. So hopefully if they've chosen to go into partnerships with any kind of investor relationships, that they're people that they know, that maybe they have good relationships with, and they can work all this stuff out. But I mean, yeah, it does impact other people directly and some indirectly.
Right.
But I'm sure it's stressful owning a business like that, and realizing that your doors are subject to legislative laws that basically force you into a situation to have to shut it down. And that's just sad to me. It's just really sad that
Yep.
It's not like, opening up a gift shop or something like that and you're just selling tchotchke. Because I don't know that tchotchke saves lives, but I'm sure there's somebody who's just got an absolute addiction for a crystal character tchotchke, and it just makes them feel fulfilled and full. So I'm gonna bank on that one. You want me to keep going, John? I got a couple more.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. It's always good to talk about this stuff. Hold on, share screen. Let me find out the one I want to share. But okay, this one. Okay, well, this is a good one. I think this was an interesting one. Is it big enough? Can you guys read that?
That's what she said.
I'm doing all the reading, so I'm actually making it easier on the people who don't want to read tonight. That's fine. I'm about good for like a 3/4 page article.
Yeah, I like picture books. I love picture.
Exactly. Don't sit me down with a novel or anything like that. I'll get like 2 paragraphs in, and then I'm just sawing logs the rest of the way. You know what I mean? I'm like, and then to be like, well, how's the book? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even remember what happened in the first 2 paragraphs. It was a bunch of words that I was stringing together.
Send you War and Peace for Christmas, Tim.
Right. That for me, that's just an anecdotal joke. It's like, oh yeah, my stories are like War and Peace. I'm like, dude, if I saw a book that big even enter my house, I'd be like, I would run. I'm like, I can't even get through like the liner note on the inside cover.
Yeah. Cliff Notes. You got to go to the bookstore and buy the Cliff Note.
Yeah, give me the World and Peace Cliff Note version. I hope it's like maybe 10 pages and like font 24, just to make more pages and make it worthwhile. The book, like for me, I would be good with. He was born and then he died, and then that would be it.
I can't even get through a friggin' manual to put something together, let alone War and Peace.
That's right, James. That's why we all read Playboy for the stories.
We read them for the articles. I did too.
Exactly.
The pictures kind of gotten away.
Exactly. I'm like, what's with all the pictures? Like, can't we just? I'm looking for information here.
Come on, Hugh Hefner. I need to know.
I'm hungry.
Sunsets.
I'm hungry for knowledge.
Yeah.
I got to go through like 35 pages of just other stuff.
I want to know if she likes sunsets on the beach and long walks, and that was what was important.
She found out she was like a marketing major in college with a minor in like with the like microbiology or something like that. I mean, it seemed like she's got a good life.
She got a good head on her shoulders. She got a good head on her shoulders.
She just you need to just give that.
My mom used to walk by.
I don't know what it was all about.
And she'd go, "Yeah, that's the one you need to marry right there."
Apparently, men pay closer attention to the actual information when they're more scantily clad or not clad at all. So,
and if you look back, people, some of the most amazing articles and pieces written in the 60s and 70s came from where, Tim?
Mad Magazine.
No,
I don't know where.
Playboy Magazine. Some of the greatest articles that were written were published in Playboy Mag. And I'm not talking about the nudie stuff. I'm talking about the political.
Yeah. They had like 3 or 4 page journalistic.
Really good journalists on that.
Exactly. So it was
the girls were just the plus.
It was a distinguished gentleman's magazine, and I know my dad had probably 20 or 30 of them hidden in a footlocker at the end of the bed. I
had to put my tux on just to read it.
All right,
it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Let's
and Michelle's like, "What are you two talking about? Exactly. Knock it off."
Right, we were talking about vaping. So tobacco harm reduction opponents should consider the counterfactual. And this is a good one because this is something that comes up often. The conversation about how vaping is a gateway to smoking. And that's been generally debunked. So that's what this article effectively addresses is paying attention to the counterfactual. So a paper published in the journal Harm Reduction in June by Ariel Celia. What's she going to sell us, John?
I don't know.
Knowledge. That woman is knowledge.
She's selling us knowledge. Ariel Celia, PhD, argues against the gateway hypothesis that nicotine vaping prohibitionists like to employ. Electronic nicotine delivery systems, as we know them as ENDS, opponents point to studies that suggest teens who use e-cigarettes may be more likely to use illicit drugs and tobacco. To be logically consistent, they would also have to claim that tobacco is a gateway to using illicit drugs. However, as is the case with similar long ago debunked arguments against cannabis use as a gateway to harder drugs, the hypothesis is based on observational studies that show correlation, not causation. And I do remember that hearing that quite often, is that if you get on the pot, next thing you know, it's going to be coke, it's going to be harder stuff down the road.
It was there.
And yeah, and again, that could be true for others who are in an experimental mode in their life, but that doesn't mean that the pot instantly prop them up to just become, a crackhead or whatever. Right. So, Harley, I agree. Congress commissioned the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences to investigate whether cannabis is a gateway drug to other more harmful illicit substances. And in 1999, because we're going to party like it's 1999, it concluded patterns and progression of drug use from adolescence to adulthood are strikingly regular. Because it is the most widely used illicit drug, marijuana is predictably the first illicit drug most people encounter. Not surprisingly, most users of other illicit drugs have used marijuana first. In fact, most drug users begin with alcohol and nicotine before marijuana, usually before they are of legal age. I can attest to the fact that both of the statements are true for moi. I actually had tried alcohol before I actually tried smoking.
All right, Timmy, question for Michelle as well. What was your first alcohol beverage that your parents didn't know about?
A Bartles and James wine cooler.
Ooh, Michelle?
Mine was probably, I don't remember, but probably it was a mixture of whatever my mom and dad had in their
in the cupboard.
Because I would take, like the clear ones, or what I thought was clear, and pour it out and then fill it up with water.
Hell yeah, Michelle, total 80s kid right there. Yeah.
Yeah, until I got caught,
Yeah, my dad never had to worry about any of that, because I would look up there and none of it seemed to interest me. I had smelled it a couple of times. I'm like, well, that's kind of rough. Like he had Cutty Sark up there in the cabinet. I'm like, bro, dude, you don't need to mark the bottles. I ain't touching your Cutty Sark. I'm not going to touch your Johnny Walker Red Label. I'm not.
I would have. I'd have been all over that Johnny Red.
Just never acquired.
My dad never drank a lot, but they'd have a glass or two on their weekends, after dinner or something. But whenever he would cut grass in New Orleans, you got to cut grass 2 or 3 times a week, right? So he'd come home and cut his grass, and I was always, when I was little bitty, I was a daddy's girl, so I was always out there, with him. And he would always want a Dixie beer, so he would shake up the rest of it and give it to me to shut me up. So I had beer since I was 3, So, when I saw the liquor, it was like, really? Okay.
Mine was Seagram's. My dad had a lot of Seagram's in the house. He didn't drink, but it was the drink choice of Italians when they came over. So it was a 7-7 all the time. So I was a master of 7-7s because I watched them pour them so many times. I was like, okay, those 2 things look good. 7-Up and Seagram's. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was and Mad Dog 2020. Steve.
Well, we used to have those as in high school. We did we had Mad Dog 2020 nights where we would go. We would get somebody to buy us Mad Dog 2020 or Boone's Farm and we would just get hammered. Anyway, but the finishing point there is usually before they are of legal age, and I think it's just so reminiscence, the wrong word, residual to today, is that they're kids, right? They're going to be enticed to want to try stuff that they're not supposed to get their hands on. So is it a shocker that they tried vaping? No, it doesn't surprise me the least bit. maybe there's some thought to the idea that, with information like, oh, it's better for you or safer for you or whatever, then they kind of felt, well, this is a little bit, at least I'm not doing the worst stuff technically.
Oh, yeah.
But what did they do with it? They didn't just grab it and be like, oh, okay, and take a little puff, just to hold them over. Like they're putting like 10 joules in a styrofoam cup and inhaling 10 joules at the same exact time to get a buzz. That's what they were doing. They were trying to chase
everything's to the extreme with kids, even us. So we did everything to the extreme. We thought we were invincible. I mean, we were actually, but we had we had our moments where our parents were like, "Why am I at the ER at midnight?" Yeah, we all had those moments.
Oh yeah, well, I never ended up in the ER, but I did end up passing out in the bathroom one night, and then my mom was wondering what the hell was wrong with me. In the sense that marijuana use typically precedes rather than follows initiation of other illicit drug use, it is indeed a gateway drug. But because underage smoking and alcohol usually typically precede marijuana use, marijuana is not the most common and is rarely the first gateway to illicit drug use. There is no conclusive evidence that the drug effects of marijuana are causally linked to the subsequent abuse of other illicit drugs. I mean, yeah, I knew plenty of people growing up that never touched anything harder than pot. Like, but they were like, but I just couldn't wrap my head around why they were so just mad about weed. It was like they didn't have any. They were like freaking out. It's like, and it's not typically an addictive drug in this sense. But I think when people just get so used to the feeling that you get from it, and even still, people who have smoked it for years have built up such a tolerance to it that they can take on more to the point where they're like, I'm not even high. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I know the couple of people that are like,
but I bet if you're out, you'd be like, I need some more pot. You know what I mean? An alternative explanation for these correlations is what researchers call common liability. The common liability hypothesis claims that users of various substances share a common attraction to a component or effect of those substances. Just what I was just saying. In the case of vaping and tobacco smoking, the component is nicotine. Dr. Selye writes, early conceptualizations of the gateway concept, marijuana use leading to subsequent use. Am I reading that right? Marijuana use leading to subsequent use of harder substances is no longer accepted as plausible hypothesis. It has since been dismissed for the same reasons, that the association between marijuana use and other substance use reflects common risk factors rather than causal relationship. And I would say yes to that, in the sense that I think there's different kinds of people on this planet, right? There are people, I mean, because back in our day, John, when we were young and getting high, there was really only like one. Well, there was really only one kind. It was more on the indica side of things, and that was more relevant to like what you classically might think of getting stoned. Like you got high, your eyes got halfway open, you sat on a couch with your buddies, you tried to watch a movie, you endlessly talk about stupid shit that was so unimportant, but you found like the most like earth-shattering information to discuss amongst yourselves, and then eat yourself into oblivion.
Yeah.
And I just think that there are people who like sailboats, John, and there are people who like speedboats.
Yeah.
So if you get what I'm saying is that there are people who like the slow roll of the waves and with the sail and the wind and just kind of taking their time. And then there's people that want to get from one side of the lake to the other side of the lake in 2.5 minutes,
seconds,
right? Yeah. So I think if I had to lay any gravity to the idea that marijuana becomes a gateway to something else, I think it's because people smoke pot and they're like, okay, well, I'm not really fully enjoying that experience. I wish there was something out there that would make me go the other direction, and I would feel more up and more awake and more alive and this, that, and the other. And so and then somebody goes, well, there's this white stuff we got, you could try that. That'll keep you up for 3.5 days if you do enough of it. You know what I'm saying? If you got enough money, and you're willing to paint your house 100 times, I got the perfect thing for you. So I just think that that's the causal element to it, is that people try it and they're like, okay, well, it was fun. It was, it wasn't a bad experience, but I want similar, people that get into more of the psychedelics and stuff. There are people like, ooh, I want to see pretty colors and kind of get lost in my thoughts and all this other stuff. I don't want to just seem like some fiending weirdo that's grinding his teeth, looking for, trying to dig his way to China in the middle of the night. But you get my point. So I think that's sort of the same thing. Whereas with vaping versus smoking and saying it's leading to, that's kind of counterintuitive, or saying that, could vaping lead to smoking? I think it's causal. I mean, maybe, just maybe someone who starts vaping and they're like, I don't know what experience from vaping and be like, oh, I don't really like vaping that much. Is there something else out there that I would enjoy more? Or maybe it's that cool factor of having what happened to my share?
Oh, I thought you were done. I just put it down so we're
getting there. Don't worry. I'll get it all in in the last 7 minutes. Trust me. I can speed read. Rather than ends used directly causing some use to also smoke cigarettes, as in the gateway explanation, youth's pre-existing tendency to use products containing nicotine explains why youth who use ends also smoke cigarettes. This is referred to as the common liability explanation because the same list of individual characteristics mentioned above are common to both ends use and cigarette smoking, and having these characteristics is a liability. They are risk factors for using any product that contains nicotine. Now, if somebody's on like 50 milligram vaping at first, maybe there's a shot, they'll try a cigarette. But I would think if you start at a low milligram vaping level, if you were to try it, if you just want to try something, probably cigarette make you go for a loop. But if you're chasing a buzz, okay.
Yeah.
In an interview with Filter Magazine, Dr. Celia states, the real question is, what would these youths have done in a hypothetical world without e-cigarettes? We call this the counterfactual. Youth tobacco smoking has been declining since 2004. Common liability may explain why the rate of decline in youth tobacco smoking accelerated after e-cigarettes appeared on the scene. It may also explain a UK survey released this month showing nearly 3 million people have used nicotine e-cigarettes to quit smoking since 2019, and a record 5.3 million people currently vape in the UK, 11% of the population. Of course, policymakers should not interfere with adults' right to vape because of concerns that minors might do so. Hear, hear.
Right.
Hear, hear.
Right.
Besides, as is the case with alcohol, it is already illegal for retailers to sell e-cigarettes to anyone under the age of 21. However, in their zeal to restrict access to alternative nicotine delivery systems, policymakers should remember to consider the counterfactual.
Yeah.
I hope they're listening. You see how I did that, John? You see how I strategically got that in with 5 minutes left?
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought you were done. That's the only reason I put it down.
No, we were rambling, John. We went off topic for a minute.
Steve wanted to see the
Oh yeah. I drank that crap
and not open because there's a reason it's not open, because that shit is dangerous, man. And I'm not opening that bottle, and I'm never drinking that bottle.
Hey, Ouzo is dangerous.
All right, here's the story.
Moonshine is dangerous.
Here's the story about this bottle. My mom makes a cookie, an Italian peach, and it looks like a peach, and the inside it has a filling inside of it. Well, part of the filling is made with peach schnapps, right? So my dad gets told to go to the liquor store to get peach schnapps, and he buys Everclear. Okay. 2 bottles of it. One that she used because she wasn't paying attention. She just assumed my dad got the right shit. And I tell you, those were the best peaches I've ever ate in my life, because just eating one, I was buzzed and walking around going, Mom, there's something different about your peaches today. I go, I don't know what's going on. And she goes, yeah, somebody else said they got a little tipsy too. And I was like, where's the bottle? And I grabbed it and it was empty. So she used the whole thing. And I go, Mom, that's not peach schnapps. That's something that's gonna kill everybody. I thought we'd end the show with a fun thing. And I just saw this the other day, and I said, okay, I'm gonna see. And everyone out there in the chat, the 10 most fun U.S. states, the 10 most fun U.S. states. So you ready? Number 10, Louisiana. 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 I knew you were gonna go there. I knew it. Louisiana. Number 9, Minnesota. Minnesota. I don't know about that one. 8, Washington. Washington. Number 7, Texas. Texas, a fun state. Number 6, Illinois. Illinois is a fun state. 5, Colorado, for the obvious reasons. Is a fun state. New York made the list. Nevada, number 3. I don't know how the hell California made number 2. And number 1 fun state, Michelle gets 2 states in her picks. Florida, number 1 state, the number 1 state in the United States.
How can you argue about a state that just really has, I mean, other than a couple of hurricanes, doesn't really have all that shitty weather? It's nice pretty much all year round. They have, all kinds of attractions and really cool cities to go to and visit and stuff like that. So,
beautiful beaches.
Yeah, I feel left out though. Like, what the fuck's wrong with Georgia?
Georgia. I knew I was gonna get that from Tim. Where's Georgia on that damn list? And you think Georgia would be on that list because it's fun, fun state.
It's a beautiful state.
It's beautiful.
Too.
The people
really
in
is.
Georgia, no matter where you go, are so friendly and so polite and so nice to you. And they're always asking you how you, and this is from me as a truck driver. Now, granted, this was the 90s. I don't know how much it's changed since the 90s, but in the 90s, it was one of my favorite states to go into, not just for food, but just the people in general were always, hey, how's your day going, honey, your dear, and just always friendly, always wanting to know how you're doing and how's your drive, what state you coming from, what are your load, what's in your load, just always nice and friendly. So I'm kind of surprised. I mean, maybe because Tim moved there. Is that possible, Tim? Because
I brought the bad luck with me. That's exactly what happened.
He brought that Baltimore.
If you notice, Virginia wasn't mentioned as a fun state. So
yeah, Virginia was not in there.
I came from a shitty, unfun state, and I brought all that unfun to Georgia, and they probably knocked them off the list. They were probably number 10 or 9, hanging in there with California somehow.
See, even Mallory says Illinois isn't fun. Yeah, Illinois, I'm kind of surprised that made that list because I've not really read anything good coming out of Illinois in a while. High taxes, almost impossible. Just like California, you can't buy a house there because the property tax is 10%. So it's pretty insane. No Alaska. Yeah, I noticed that too as well. No Alaska on that list. No North Dakota or Arkansas. So
there's 2 good ones there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Tim. I mean, if I say North Dakota, you're not thinking fun.
No.
Yeah. I say Arkansas, all I think of is Bill Clinton. And I did not have sexual relationships with that woman.
They should do a counter. They should do a counter list, like the top 10 states where people have to look really hard to find some fun shit to do.
Find something.
The best part of that little sentence that he said that day was the fact that he looked straight into the camera and said it like he was honest, like he no bullshit. I did not have sexual relationships with that. Yeah, bull crap, Bill. Everyone's had sexual relationships in the Oval Office. Arizona, I'm too. Yeah, you're right. Arizona, I was surprised was not on that list because I hear Arizona, I hear fun. I hear fun. I hear good colleges, fun colleges. I hear lots of stuff to do in Arizona. I don't know.
Tennessee is a very fun state.
Tennessee,
really do. Yeah.
Well, Michelle, relax. You got 2. Michelle wanted 3. It's like I would have went that full.
But I've never lived in Tennessee.
Oh, you never lived in Tennessee? Okay.
Never lived
I was going to say you were looking for the trifecta. I thought maybe in states.
No, but that's one fun state. I think Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, we are done, guys. We're finished. We did 2 hours. 2 hours and 2 minutes and 5 6
flew by.
7.
It was like
it just went right by. It was the great conversation about hair. What else did we touch on? We touched on a lot of subjects today. That's what happens when you get open topics. Open topic night.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What else you got? Anything else before we go? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything that you might have.
Nothing withstanding. Just prepare yourselves for Bear Story #2 next week. I got to keep consistent here. I figure people will get bored if like my whole week consists of I went to the ATM.
I went to the ATM.
You all would be like, I'm gonna quit watching the show.
I pushed the wrong code, and then all these police came out from everywhere, and that's what Tim's story would be. It wouldn't be I just went to the ATM and got money. It would be I went to the ATM, I punched in the wrong number, SWAT came out from everywhere, $1 million came out of the ATM machine, and then Cheryl Teagues walks by and asks me out. I mean, that's the story.
He had to go bring up Cheryl Teagues.
That's the.
That's going to bring up another story.
How do you know someone is stuck in the past? They bring up a name like Cheryl Teagues.
Well, I'm thinking for our sake.
How many people do you know that we didn't know how to pronounce it when some people called her Cheryl Teagues?
Teagues, yeah.
We didn't know how to say Teagues. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, guys, we are out of here. Everybody look into the camera. Oh, first and foremost, thank you everyone out there in chat for dealing with us today. And I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something today, because this is like PBS. We're like the PBS network on YouTube.
Best public broadcasting show. Well, it's not what PBS stands for, but the best public broadcasting show on the internet today.
On the internet, say look, don't forget to look for Tim's Travel Bear Show. It'll be coming soon. It'll be coming soon to a channel near you. That's like a channel that will end up on like Discovery. It'll be like,
oh, I'm booking a live tour. I'm booking a live tour with 2 completely unchained bears on stage. So
unchained.
If you want some fun and excitement, and just, for every ticket you buy, you risk your life and the ones associated. And no pineapple on pizza.
No pineapple on pizza. All right. All right, guys, look at the camera and say goodbye to our lovely people out there. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.